Next time down. Stewie, Jewel, Ezzy. It's a horns down. Pop, buddy pass, still in the middle of the floor, get a bucket. Yeah, coming off, horns down. This is Jewel. This is Brianna. I'm sorry. Hey, Ezzy, if Jewel doesn't like the buddy pass, go ahead and step up with her. All right?
You ever have a friend who always shows up on time, works hard, rarely messes up, but somehow you still feel like you need someone else to get things over the finish line? Welcome to the Seattle Storm's Friday. Because after 5 seasons, they've decided it's time for Coach Noelle Quinn to exit stage left. And yep, that means a new era is coming. Buckle up.
The Seattle Storm have decided to not renew Noelle Quinn's contract. Yes, absolutely. I did a video about this, I think in August, that this was going to happen. That team was just not improving. There were questionable coaching decisions made. Like, girl, you're in an elimination game. Why aren't you using your challenge? I think leaving Dominique Malonga on an island with Aja Wilson was insane. And there's some locker room issues that I think starts with her and her staff. So yes, they needed to move on.
The decision and its timing. Let's start with the obvious headline. Seattle Storm and Noelle Quinn are breaking up. And like most breakups, the timing says almost as much as the words. The official announcement dropped right after Seattle's playoff elimination. A 1-point heartbreaker to the Las Vegas Aces, 74-73, in Game 3 of the first round. That's not just a loss, that's the kind of defeat where you replay the final possession in your head for weeks, thinking, if one shot goes in, the whole season looks different. But instead of doubling down with Quinn, the Storm front office basically said, nope, we're swiping right on a new coach this offseason. Now here's why that matters. The optics are brutal. Quinn had just guided the Storm to a winning record, 23-21, their 4th playoff appearance in 5 years under her leadership, and she had the locker room on board. Yet the franchise still decided she wasn't the one to carry them back to a title. That's like getting dumped the day after you passed your finals. Technically, you didn't do badly, but they're looking for perfect. General Manager Talisa Rhea tried to soften the blow with a glowing statement about Quinn's dedication and helping players develop. Translation? You did great, but we're still chasing rings and we need someone who can close the deal. That right there is the identity of Seattle Storm basketball. Championships or bust. This is a franchise with 4 titles. 2018 and 2020 still fresh in fans' memories. And in sports, when your past is golden, your present has no room for silver. Timing-wise, it also sets the tone for the offseason. The front office didn't waste time. By cutting ties right after elimination, they've basically said, this summer is about the future, not nostalgia. They're giving themselves a head start in the coaching market, because in the WNBA, openings don't stay open for long, and the hottest coaching candidates will get scooped fast. So yeah, Quinn's exit isn't about lack of respect. It's about urgency. Seattle wants to reset, reload, and return to contender status immediately. But before we start talking about next steps, we've got to zoom out and appreciate what just ended. Because Quinn wasn't some random coach. She's been a thread in the Storm's fabric for over a decade. Let's talk legacy.
And I've mentioned this in other videos, this means that there are no more Black women coaches in the WNBA. That's the saddest part about this. That's the real narrative to come from Noelle Quinn's fire. So the search for a new coach starts immediately in Seattle. But what is the league going to do about, making a point to hire quality Black women coaches in a league that is predominantly Black? Like, this sounds even crazy that I am having to ask and inquire about this, but yeah, it's a problem. Hello?
Quinn's legacy and what she built. Alright, so now that we've set the scene with the breakup, let's rewind the tape and give Coach Quinn her flowers. Because her Storm story isn't just 5 years on the sidelines, it's way bigger. First off, the resume before the whistle even hit her neck. Noelle Quinn was the number 4 overall pick in the 2007 WNBA draft. That's not small potatoes. She came into the league out of UCLA as a cerebral floor general, standing 6 feet tall with the poise of someone who was born with a clipboard in her hand. Across 12 seasons, playing for Minnesota, Los Angeles, Washington, Phoenix, and finally Seattle, her averages might look modest at 4.8 points, 2.6 boards, and 2.3 assists per game. But the numbers don't tell the full story. Teammates and coaches knew her as one of the most composed, detail-oriented guards in the league. Basically, she was that steady friend in the group project who keeps everyone from failing. Seattle really became her home from 2013 to 2018. Those years mattered because they shaped her as more than a player. She became a cultural ambassador in the city, building roots that would keep her tied to the franchise even after her playing days. And let's not forget, she was part of the 2018 Storm Championship squad, the team that hung banner number 3 in the rafters. That's the kind of player-to-coach pipeline you dream about. Now here's where the story levels up. Quinn retires in 2019 and boom, immediately hops into coaching. No vacation in Bali, no Netflix and chill gap year. Straight to work. By 2020, she was already associate head coach, helping the Storm sweep the Las Vegas Aces in the finals and bring home championship number 4. Imagine that. 2 years removed from being on the court, she's already standing in the huddle calling plays that win rings. That's acceleration. Then in 2021, the Storm handed her the keys to the kingdom. Head coach. And she didn't just warm the seat. In 5 seasons, Quinn racked up 97 wins against 89 losses, good enough to make her the second winningest coach in franchise history. 4 playoff appearances in 5 years. Not bad at all for someone still in her coaching 101 era. So yeah, Quinn's run doesn't end with her being the coach who got fired. It's more like she's the draft pick turned champion turned coach who shaped multiple chapters of Storm history. From hoisting trophies as a player to molding future stars as a coach, Quinn literally checked every box you can for a franchise career. But here's the rub. When your franchise DNA is championships only, being good isn't always good enough. And that's where the story starts to get thorny. Let's talk about why Seattle pulled the plug, even with all that legacy.
That way. So I do think that it was time for her to be fired. And I was telling my friends this and I tweeted this, but I definitely think that the Seattle Storm need to enter a rebuild. I really do. They're always good enough to make the playoffs, but they're not good enough to get through the first round. And like Brandy said, almost doesn't count, okay? You want to win championships, you got to get younger, you got to do better with your drafting, you got to do better attracting free agents there, and just, change the culture of the team. I'm sorry. Like, you can't keep running it back with the same core and everything and expect different results and stuff. I like Skylar, I like Nika, I like Gabby. Like, they're good players and everything ultimately. And maybe if they keep those 3 and they are able to actually get a legit shooting guard, and I don't know if they'll keep Ezzy, to be honest. Maybe they let Ezzy walk. But if they can get a good shooting guard, if they can get a good center, if they can fix the bench, maybe that is enough to win it. But just what I've seen this season, it's just the inconsistency for me. It's the inconsistency for me. I think that they should cut their losses and that they should enter a rebuild. Like, just accept the rebuild, accept you're probably going to have a few losing seasons, get some good draft picks.
Why the chop probably happened. Okay, so we've celebrated Noelle Quinn's legacy, but now comes the uncomfortable truth. Why would a franchise cut ties with one of their most loyal figures, someone who's been player, champion, and coach, after 5 solid years? The short answer, Seattle is allergic to mediocrity. Let's talk postseason. The Storm under Quinn made the playoffs in 4 out of 5 seasons, which sounds solid until you dig deeper. Her overall playoff record as head coach, 4 wins, 8 losses. That's basically a coin flip where the coin's rigged against you. For a franchise that's hoisted 4 championships and has contender written into its DNA, those numbers don't just sting. They scream, we've plateaued. And the timing makes it worse. In 2023 and 2025, Seattle bowed out in the first round. That 2025 exit in particular, brutal. 1 point shy of eliminating the Las Vegas Aces, the reigning powerhouse. A single possession away from flipping the narrative. Instead, they lost 74-73, and in the playoff world, close losses aren't moral victories. They're just losses. Then there's the context of what Quinn inherited. Remember, Seattle lost 2 icons in rapid succession. Sue Bird retired in 2022, and Breanna Stewart packed her bags for New York in 2023. Those departures gutted the roster and put Quinn in a near impossible spot. Rebuild while still trying to compete. And to her credit, she did keep the team relevant. This year's 23-21 record, plus that late season surge of 6 wins in their last 10, showed resilience. But again, resilience is not a banner. And the Storm don't hang banners for nice try. From the front office's perspective, the pattern was clear. Quinn had stabilized the team but couldn't elevate it. Talisa Ria's comments said as much. Lots of praise for Quinn's leadership and player development, but the big subtext was, "We want championships." That's the unspoken contract with Storm fans. Seattle doesn't settle for making the playoffs. This isn't a franchise that celebrates wild-card berths like a Super Bowl. This is a franchise tied with Houston and Minnesota for most WNBA titles ever. 4 apiece. That bar is sky high. And let's be real, in pro sports, optics matter. Every time Seattle went one and done in the playoffs, it chipped away at the Storm's brand as a perennial juggernaut. It created the vibe of a team drifting from elite status into good, not great territory. For a GM, that's the scariest thing, because the longer fans think your window is closed, the harder it is to convince stars and free agents to buy in. So why the chop? Because Noelle Quinn wasn't failing. She just wasn't winning enough. And in Seattle, that's the same thing. But let's not twist this into a total negative. Seattle may have pressed eject, but Quinn didn't leave empty-handed. In fact, she stamped her fingerprints all over the Storm's culture, and that's not going away anytime soon. Let's look at what she leaves behind.
It has just been announced that the Seattle Storm will not be renewing her contract as the head coach for the Seattle Storm team for the WNBA. And again, it's like, she just has so much talented players. And even Sue Bird and Breanna Stewart on the podcast, Sue Bird's podcast, spoke a little bit about how they found themselves regressing overall as players when it came to being players for the Seattle Storm underneath Noelle Quinn. Again, I was very trying to warn Noelle Quinn. I spoke about this since last season. I said, Noelle Quinn has a lot of talented players. She has a very talented roster. Why is it that they're up one day, they're down the next, like the stock market, stocks and bonds. It doesn't make any sense how they seem to, again, they actually make it to the playoffs. So again, kudos to her. So I'm like, she's good for something, but it's like overall, the way that the Seattle Storm has just been getting did by any and every team really, right? At any given moment, it just doesn't make any sense. And again, I believe a lot of players such as Breanna Stewart and Sue Bird have expressed that how her coaching style as a coach, it just does not mesh well. It does not allow for them to really grow and progress as individual players.
What's next in stakes moving forward? So Noelle Quinn is out, which leaves us with the $1 million double shot of espresso question. What now for the Seattle Storm? First, let's not kid ourselves. This isn't just about finding a coach. This is about finding the coach. Seattle isn't looking for someone to keep the seat warm or guide the rebuild. Nope. The Storm wants someone who can take a roster with pieces, turn it into a monster, and hang a 5th banner in Climate Pledge Arena. Championship or bust is not a catchphrase here. It's a lifestyle. The coaching search? That starts immediately. The WNBA offseason moves fast, and the top candidates get scooped up quicker than floor seats for a finals game. Seattle has to balance 2 things: finding someone who can manage veterans and someone who can develop the younger players into future stars. Whoever they pick needs to be bilingual in win now and long term. Now let's talk roster. The Storm aren't an empty cupboard. They've got serious talent. Jewel Lloyd is still a walking bucket, one of the league's most lethal scorers. Nneka Ogwumike is an MVP-level veteran presence who can anchor the front court. Add in younger contributors and potential free agents, and you've got a core that screams contender, but only if the system maximizes them. That's why the coach hire is so critical. Get it right, and you're in the mix with Las Vegas and New York. Get it wrong, and you risk wasting prime years of your stars. And let's not forget, Seattle has history breathing down their necks. This is one of the WNBA's blue blood franchises. 4 titles, 2004, 2010, 2018, 2020, ties them with the Houston Comets and Minnesota Lynx for most in league history. That's not just trivia, that's a brand identity. The Storm aren't just expected to compete, they're expected to dominate. Every season they don't make a deep playoff run feels like time lost. Here's the pressure point. The league is tougher now than it's ever been. The Aces are a dynasty in the making, the Liberty are stacked, the Sun and Wings are lurking, and younger teams are loading up. For Seattle to keep pace, they can't just hire a good coach, they need a visionary. Someone who can both strategize with the best and adapt on the fly in playoff wars. And that's the irony. Seattle just parted ways with one of the most stable leaders in the league because stability alone won't cut it anymore. They're betting big that a new hire can deliver that extra edge Quinn couldn't. It's risky, but that's the Storm way. So what's next? A high-stakes coaching search, key roster decisions, and the constant reminder that Seattle isn't chasing relevance. They're chasing rings. The margin for error? Basically zero.
The way she leads her team, the Seattle Storm, as talented as her roster is for the Seattle Storm, the way she led them, I do see why perhaps, her career has come to like a certain standstill. I don't believe it's the demise of her career. She could easily get another coaching job, I'm sure, either in the WNBA or the collegiate level for women's basketball, etc. But honestly, I saw this coming, okay? And even though I saw it coming, I still think that she has a lot to offer to an organization as a head coach, specifically at my Chicago Sky. At this point, I would swap Tyler Marsh out for Coach Noelle Quinn for us, or to be the head coach for Angel Reese in the Chicago Sky in a heartbeat.
What do you think? Who should Seattle target next, and what traits matter most in a coach if they want to win it all again? Drop your picks in the comments. Hit like if you believe the upcoming hire will be the difference. Subscribe for more WNBA deep dives and ring that notification bell, because in this league, tomorrow's headlines are already being written. Until next time, wherever you are, keep the ups, push through the downs, and always play to win.